Welcome to Biology at Priyajit, my dear viewers. Today we will explore mRNA splicing, the molecular cut and paste that removes introns from the mRNAs, joins exons, and creates a ready to read mRNA for the translation or protein synthesis. To introduce the concept, we first have to know about the collinearity of gene expression. What is it? One-to-one correspondence between DNA codons which are present in the coding strand and the amino acid sequence of the polypeptide. So this concept was widely accepted before the molecular studies of eukaryotic genes. But in the late 1970s, molecular tools revealed that eukaryotic structural genes are often not collinear with their mRNAs. The key observations were the coding sequences or exons are interrupted by non-coding sequence or introns. These introns are not translated into protein. Exons and introns. Exons coding sequences found in mature mRNA. They contain the information that determines the amino acid sequence. Introns are basically the intervening sequences between exons that transcribed into RNA but removed before translation. So, eukaryotic genes often contain exons or coding sequences and introns, whether non-coding sequences. So, exons are usually short, that is approximately 150 nucleotides, whereas introns can be very long, up to 800 kilobase pair. So the example dihydrofolate reductase gene, which usually contains 6 exons measuring about 2 kilobase pair mRNA, but the total gene length is 31 kilobase pair. So the image here showing that this is the primary transcript which contains both exons and intron sequences. When it spliced RNA, it has only the exon part, there is no intron. So there are 5 untranslated region and 3 untranslated region, 5 prime cap and 3 poly-A-tail. So this is the basic concept. Transcription of split genes. Eukaryotic genes are transcribed into primary transcript or pre-mRNA containing both exons and introns. Pre-mRNA will be converted into mRNA. Introns are removed and exons joined together. This is the image showing this is the primary transcript. This is pre-mRNA and this is spliced mRNA. The spliced mRNA will be formed from pre-mRNA after the splicing event. There should be some exons and intervening intron sequences. Intron sequences will be removed and exons will be joined one by one. So there are basically three mechanisms for removing the intron sequences. Number one is group 1 intron, number 2 is group 2 intron, both of which are the examples of the self splicing introns, and the another category, the introns removed via spliceosome, which the process is very common in eukaryotes, and this process was evolved laterally. So group 1 and group 2 introns are self-splicing. These first two, group 1 and group 2, the splicing of group 1 introns involves the binding of a free guanosine to a site within the intron, leading to the cleavage of RNA at the 3' end of exon 1. The bond between a different guanine nucleotide in the intron strand and the 5' end of exon 2 is cleaved. The 3' end of exon 1 then forms a covalent bond with the 5' end of exon 2. But in group 2 intron, what happens? A similar splicing mechanism occurs, except that the 2' OH group on an adenine nucleotide which is already present within the intron begins the catalytic process, and pre-mRNA splicing requires the aid or involvement of a multi-component structure known as spliceosome. These yellow colored structures are the spliceosome, and this is laterally developed, laterally evolved process of splicing, that is spliceosome mediated splicing, which is found in most of the eukaryotes. So what is RNA splicing? So process of removing introns and joining of the adjacent exons to produce mature RNA is called as the RNA splicing. importance, it must be precise to maintain the reading frame, and errors lead to wrong protein synthesis. So how splicing occurs? Recognition of splice sites. Firstly, 5' splice site, start of intron, which is highly conserved GU region. 3' splice site, end of intron, which is highly conserved HE sequence. Branch point site, adenine A near 3' end, followed by polypyrimidine tract or PI tract. Mechanism: there should be two trans esterification reactions. We know that the nucleotides are bonded together by means of phosphodiester bonds. So we have to break the ester bond. We have to create two trans esterification reactions. Step 1, there 2' OH of a branch point A. This is a branch point and this is the 2' OH. It will attack the 5' splice site. This will attack the 5' splice site and it will form a lariat like structure. Step step B or step 2, the 3' OH of 5' exon attacks the 3' splice site, then exons join, intron released as lariat. Introns has been released at lariats, and this is the 5' exon and this is the 3' exons. They have been joined together. But splicing does not require energy chemically, just it rearranges the chemical bonds or phosphodiester bond, but ATP is used to operate the splicing machinery. Splicing is a directional process, normally moving forward to produce mature mRNA. So this is the table showing the three basic types of intron: type 1 intron, group 1 intron, group 2 intron, and pre-mRNA. Mechanism of removal: group 1 intron and group 2 introns are removed through self-splicing, but pre-mRNA are spliced by the help of spliceosome. Group 1 intron found in rRNA genes within the nucleus of tetrahymena, eukaryotic unicellular protozoa, and the others simple eukaryotes, found in few structural tRNA and rRNA genes within the mitochondrial DNA of fungi and plants, and it is also present in chloroplast DNA, found very rarely in tRNA genes within bacteria. Group 2 introns, which also undergo self-splicing, they are found in a few structural tRNA, rRNA genes within the mitochondrial DNA of fungi and plants and in chloroplast DNA. They are also found rarely in bacterial genes. But the pre-mRNA, which undergo spliceosome mediated splicing, they are very commonly found in structural genes within the nucleus of eukaryotes. So this is the image showing the group 1 in self-splicing intron, group 2 intron self-splicing. Both of these B and C is the process of self-splicing, and this is pre-mRNA spliceosome mediated splicing. So what is self-splicing introns? Introns that can remove themselves without any protein complexes, without any proteins, act as ribozymes. So the group 1 introns and group 2 introns, they no need, they do not require any protein complexes for their splicing events. So these are called as self-splicing introns. What happens for group 1 introns? They uses a free guanosine G to initiate splicing. There should be a guanosine nucleotide in the group 1 intron, and released intron is linear. This is a linear structure and found in rRNA, tRNA and mitochondria of lower eukaryotes. But group 2 introns, they uses a branch point A which attack the 5' splice site and forms a lariat like structure. It found in mitochondria and chloroplast genes of fungi, plants and some bacteria. This is the table showing the differences between group 1 intron and group 2 intron. The initiator of group 1 is free guanosine nucleotide, and initiator of group 2 is the branch point adenine nucleotide. Intron form a linear sequence in case of group 1. Introns form a lariat-like structure in case of group 2 introns. Similar to spliceosome, group 1 is not similar to spliceosome, but group 2 is somehow lariat-like structures are formed by through the process mediated with the help of spliceosome. So what are the evolutionary significance of self-splicing? Self-splicing introns are ancestors of modern spliceosome-mediated splicing. This is the older process. The core RNA catalysis is retained. Proteins handle recognition and regulation today. The spliceosome. What happens? Large ribonucleoprotein RNP complex that carries out nuclear pre-mRNA splicing components. It has nearly 150 proteins, 5 small nuclear RNAs, snRNAs, U1, U2, U4, U5, U6. These snRNAs and proteins together to make the snRNPs or snRPs. What are the roles of the spliceosome? It recognizes splice sites. U1 basically bind the 5' splice site and U2 binds the branch point A. U6 later it replaces U1 at 5' site and branch 5' splice site and branch point A together. It catalyzes intron removal and exon ligation. So this is the image showing the spliceosome when attached with the pre-mRNA. There are exons and intron sequences with the help of snRNPs. snRNA means small nuclear RNA, and it will combine with the various proteins to form the snRNPs and togetherly form the spliceosome machinery. This is the excised lariat shaped intron, what is found in case of spliceosome mediated splicing and in case of also group 2 introns, these lariat shaped introns. So there should be a mature mRNA. So this is RNA transcript pre-mRNA. There are exon 1, exon 2, and in between two exons there is intron. With the help of protein and snRNA, a spliceosome complex will form and it will bind with the pre-mRNA, and then it will remove the cutout intron. This is the cutout intron, and the exon 1 and exon 2 adjacent exons will be joined with each other. So this is the process showing the spliceosome mediated splicing. How the spliceosome works. Firstly, a early complex or E complex will be formed. U1 is an snRNA. It will binds the 5' splice site. This is the image showing the binding of U1 at the 5' splice site of the intron. Then U2AF, U2 associated factor. U2 is another snRNA. Associated factor helps branch point binding protein and SF1 which bind branch point A. This is the branch point A. So these two proteins binds at the branch point A. Again, A complex will be formed. Then U2 snRNP releases the BBP. U2 snRNP will come and it will replaces the BBP and binds associated with the U2AF65 and it will binds the branch point for bulged for attack. So there should be a bulging, and then tri snRNP will be recruited at the site. U4, U5, U6 will join and it will form the B complex. This will join and it will remove the U2AF65 and they will form a B complex. Then U1 leaves and U6 takes the place. This is the removal of U1 and U6 already has been taken the position. So this is the after binding of U6, the complex will be activated. It will named as C complex or active complex. Then U4 leaves, U6 and U2 pair with each other and catalysis begins. First, trans-esterification reactions branch point A attack the 5' splice site and it will form the lariat-like structure. And second, trans-esterification, that is 5' and exons and 3' exons joined together and they will form the released pre-mRNA. This is the released pre-mRNA. Recycling, these snRNPs will be released and reused again. So key feature, it is a dynamic, flexible, sometimes assembles around exons or exon definition. It ensures forward reaction also. So this is the image showing the process of spliceosome machinery. This is the pre-mRNA with the involvement of U1, U2AF and SF1. They will bind with the 5' splices. This is the E complex. Then A complex will be formed and then pre-B complex will be formed and it will form the spliced product. What is RNA editing? It is basically alteration of RNA sequence after the process of transcription. Base changes such as cytosine to uracil, insertion or deletion of nucleotides, example uridine, guide RNA or gRNA mediated RNA editing, which is found in case of trypanosomes. Guide RNA is partially base pair with the pre-mRNA. Gaps are filled by inserting or deleting uracil residues. It ensures correct mitochondrial protein expression. So the significance of RNA editing, it shows that mRNA is not always directly encoded by DNA. So this is the examples table showing the examples of RNA editing. Trypanosomes, protozoa, they primarily additions but occasionally deletions of uracil nucleotide, which are found in mitochondrial mRNAs. Land plants, there should be C to U conversion. Many mitochondrial and chloroplast mRNAs, tRNAs and rRNAs show this process. In case of slime mold, cytosine additions occurs, and then many mitochondrial mRNAs, the events are found in many mitochondrial mRNAs. In case of mammals, C to U conversion and A to I conversion is found. In Drosophila, A to I conversion is found. mRNA for calcium and sodium channels. So this is the chemical reaction showing the RNA editing, that is the alteration of RNA sequence after transcription. So what is alternative splicing? When one pre-mRNA produce multiple mRNA isoforms and multiple proteins will be formed from one gene. So what happens? There should be cis elements and trans factors, RNA sequences regulating exon inclusion or exclusion, and trans factors, SR proteins promote, and HNRNPs also suppressors. So what are the importance of alternative splicing? It increases protein diversity. It enables tissue specific or developmental stage specific proteins. Example, CD44 in T cells, they will form isoforms which affect the immune response. So there are the differences showing this is the nuclear pre-mRNA, group 2 introns and group 1 introns, their abundances, their basic mechanisms, and their catalytic machinery. So this is the basic process of splicing event. So in conclusion, we can say that mRNA splicing is a vital process that removes introns and joins exons to produce a mature translatable mRNA. This precise editing ensures accurate gene expression and protein synthesis. So my dear students, keep uncovering the fascinating intricacies of molecular biology. Thank you.